Muhammad Umar Farooq Biological Video. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork. In this video, we will talk about the Nostoc. That is the Nostoc is basically is the Cyanobacteria, which that is the types and their example of Nostoc is we will discuss in here. So here is the cell which contain DNA cytoplasm. That the DNA is not in the nucleus, so that is a prokaryotic basically. So is the photosynthetic lamella which that is present is here, and there's a photosynthetic lamella contain ribosomes, and the ribosomes is too much that is known as the rough photosynthetic lamella. And here is the plasma membrane and cell wall are present is here. Further we will discuss about the whole structure of the cell. So here is that's the equal to each other, and here is the structure of the cell, which that is the DNA is present, the genomic material is present without the nucleus, that is the present in the center, and plasma membrane is present, and that is the plasma membrane is basically there's a plasma membrane is contain phospholipids and lipid droplets are present is here. There's a both lipid droplets is used for the plasma membrane. So here we will I labeled it. Here is the basically lipid droplet, and there's a lipid droplet is very important. There's a production of lipids which use into the making plasma membrane of the Nostoc cell. So the Nostoc is in the form of colony are separate, but a majority of the Nostoc is the colonial. That the cell is known as colonial cell. There's an aggregation of cells is known as colony. So here is the protein droplet, and here is which that we has discussed about. We have discussed about there's a photosynthetic lamella. There's a photosynthetic lamella is used to use the photosynthesis, so that is why it is known as autotrophic cells, and that is the photosynthetic organism. There's a photosynthesis to produce their own food by the light. So as the green golden color is shown the cell wall, and inner side the plasma membrane, and outer layer is known as the gelatinous sheet. That the gelatinous sheet is used for the protection and used for the retention for the dehydration and moving the slightly and not damaging. There's a protective layer which is responsible for the abrasion or something which that is impossible. So here is the cell wall, and outer layer is known as the gelatinous sheet. So here is the lipid droplet which that is used for the making plasma membrane. So here is the plasma membrane. That is plasma membrane contains cell wall and gelatinous sheet, which that is the uppermost part of the cell. So the sodium potassium chloride molecules that's the interchange due to the plasma membrane, which that are protein channel are present into the plasma membrane. So here is the upward, it shows that the cell wall, which that is the plasmodesmata, which that are present used for the entering of water by a simplest pathway. So the simplest pathway is using the cell wall, which there are pores is known as plasmodesmata, which that are enter the water and other mineral. In the other hand, the cell wall to cell wall movement is known as the apoplast pathway. We will discuss in later. So here is the upper part is the gelatinous sheet is are present is here. That is the that is the gelatinous sheet is present is here, and here is the phosphate granules. The phosphate granules mean the phosphate is present, which that is used for the DNA repairing, DNA replication, DNA synthesis. That is the all thing is due to the phosphate. So that's the phosphate granule which that is provided to the DNA and different function which that is we will discuss in later. So here is that is the structure. So here I will draw a colony. There's a colony of Nostoc which that is showing in here. There is a thread-like structure. We will discuss in the microscope when we will analysis about the microscope. There's the gelatinous sheets which that cover by the colony, and here is the that is very important, that is known as the thread of Nostoc. So here is the very important things which that is the hetero cyst. The hetero cyst is the most growing part of the um, mm, uh, thread which that is used for the asexual reproduction. That's produce spores. That's the echinids and different types of which that convert into the heterocyst. The echinids meaning that the asexual reproduction by the filling of the spores to burst echinids to produce the spores which that are again growth. So now we will discuss about the asexual reproduction, but first of all you should understand about that. Here is the echinids which that contain spores, and here is very important things that is the intercalary heterocyst. That's the intercalary heterocyst is present, which that is the most growth nodules are present, which that is the polar nodules is two sides. So here the two projection like structure is known as polar nodule. So I hope you make understand about that things. That is the Nostoc, all about the knowledge about the Nostoc. That is very easy, and we will further study about the next video about the basically plant science. So I draw here is the gelatinous sheet which that covered by the thread. So looking here. And next we will talk about the basically here is the cyanophycin granules that is present, that is the chlorophyll are present which that is used for the absorbing of light. And there's a remember it, the first thing, there's a chloroplast is not present in the cell, but the photosynthetic um, lamella is present in the other hand, which using for the making sugar by the photosynthesis. So that is important thing is that the chloroplast is not present. On the other hand, the photosynthetic lamella is. So now we will talk about the reproduction is asexual. Basically the asexual reproduction means that no sexes are involved. Basically female and male gametes is not produced for the uniting to produce zygote, so that is not present, and that is the asexual reproduction. Mean the fragmentation or something that the a detachment of the part of the colony to produce new colony, that is the asexual reproduction, and that is the colony fragmentation, that is known as the colony fragmentation. So it does the asexual means no female and male. The arrow shows that the first is male, and the down cross like structure, that is the mirror like structure, is known as the female sign. So now we will talk about the colony fragmentation, that is remember about that thing. Here is the colony, and that's colony detachment, the fragmentation will be occur, and that's the breakdown of the colony, and that's colony breakdown to produce again 4 colony, for example. So here the 4 colony will be produced, that is known as the colony fragmentation. So there the reproduction all about that, the reproduction. So now we will talk about the Harmonia. That's a Harmonia mean the thread of the Nostoc, which that is composition of the cells. There is a procreas, the intercalary heterocyst are present. That intercalary heterocyst is composed with the minute granules of thread, which that is break down during the favorable condition to produce again colony. So here is the this thread will again grow to produce this like a thread. So that thread will be again in the form of colony. So here I draw basically here is the colony will be produced. So this thread is again will be composed with a colony. So I please comment below about the next video and give a comment about my mistake which that is doing, but it's I think that that's a all concept is cleared about the Nostoc. That's the Nostoc is the photosynthetic blue-green algae, which that is the Cyanobacteria. That Cyanobacteria's type is Nostoc. So here is the again will be colony will be produced. So here I draw basic the here is the colony will be produced again. So next is the last asexual reproduction will be occur is known as akinets. The akinets basically that is the important thing that the akinets mean the thread which compose with the cells, and some cells will be grow into form internal spores by the covering of the hard covering that is the present in the that is known as akinase which that compose spores. And during the unfavorable condition that the akinase um, protect protective sheet is around there and that's not burst, and during the time of basically favorable condition that akinase will be burst to produce spores, and that spores will be grow again the thread that's going into the colony. So akinase produce arthrospores. That's arthrospores mean the spores which that is jointed spores, which that is the precursor of the thread of Nostoc. So that's the precursor of the thread is known as Nostoc. We will discuss it over here. That is the basically growth. Basically growing akinase is going to growth and to produce akinase, and that's akinase will be here is the spores which that is the arthrospores. Arthro mean jointed, spore means spore mean grains, so it means the arthrospores mean jointed spores, which that means the joints like structure which is the precursor mean the rudimentary structure which produce the again thread. uh, here here is the rupture of the akinase to produce arthrospores, right? And that's arthrospore it will be again produces here over here. So here is the arthrospore, and I will draw a most another uh, bigger structure of the arthrospore is during the favorable condition that will be produced. So here is the arthrospore again will be produced into the filament. So here the arthrospore that is the jointed spores, jointed segments like structure is present is over here like that. So this is the precursor of the filament. So now we will talk about the here the blue-green algae chlorophyll live in colony, sexual reproduction is absent and vegetative reproduction is dominant. So that is why the asexual reproduction is dominant, and that's I will give you a basically microscopic analysis to produce the structure of the basically is here that is the microscopic structure of the Nostoc. So thanks for watching.